Welcome to Behind the Beards, the podcast where real estate gets real messy, real funny, and sometimes just downright unpredictable. I'm Josh.
And I'm Nate. We're pulling back the curtain on the world of real estate. Whether you're an agent, industry professional, client, or you're just here for the chaos, you're in the right place. This is a real estate talk. Let's get into it. So Josh, there's a lot of things that we do in real estate that people don't realize that we do. The unglamorous part, right? The things that, most people just think, oh, you show houses, you write contracts, you do this, you do that. But there's a ton of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize. So today I would like to talk about some of the unglamorous actions we take, the extra mile we take, that'll help people understand what it is we do for how many hours we work a week, right? So I'm going to kick it to you. Definitely share with us a recent story or, comment on that, and let's get into it, man.
I love the topic because to your point, right? People don't understand what we do really on a day-to-day basis. They think we write an offer and we close and we make a bunch of money and it was that easy, and we don't work hard and we're lazy and all that stuff. But, the matter of fact is we work like double what a person would work on a 9-to-5, right? Like just last night, I was on the phone with my clients negotiating a deal, and there's a bunch of questions. We're on the phone from 10 to 11:15 at night, right? I mean, when someone clocks out a 9-to-5 job, 5 o'clock hits, they stamp their clock out and they're done for the day, right? I am always on my phone. My wife literally hates me for it. I mean, it's like without my phone, I can't do my job, right? So we're constantly on our phones all the time. But, to one story, literally recently this morning at 9 o'clock, I'm getting my $4.5 million listing ready. My clients we need to paint some windows and sand and reface a front door. And then there's a lot of exterior landscaping, right? So I got a quote for my clients, and the quote was pretty reasonable to do the plants and pull out the shrubs and all that good stuff. But I wanted to save him money, right? I'm a negotiator, right? We're in sales. So
Yep.
To save him a few $100s, I said, hey, I just mulched my yard. I'm going to mulch it for you. It's therapeutic for me, to be honest. I freaking love it. I should have been a farmer in my last life. I probably was. Yeah, it's just so therapeutic for me, and I just love going above and beyond for my clients. So this morning at 9 a.m, I was at Home Depot. I bought 40 bags of mulch, and the landscaper, we bought all the plants. We delivered it there. So I went to Home Depot this morning. I went and mulched for an hour. I'm surprised my fingers are not, I scrubbed them really nicely for this podcast. But that's just like one example, like as of 2 hours ago, that I was mulching for my client, for my listing, right? I could have easily said, hey, it's going to be $300 extra for this gardener to mulch, but I'm going to do it for you. So it's just going above and beyond, right? For it, not just that it was a $4.5 million listing, but that's just what I do for every client.
Well, I want to interject here for a minute, right? So first of all, to be a little fun with this, right? You're not showing up to the listing agreement and going, by the way, here's the steps I do. And then there's mulching.
No.
Right. I mean,
it's not anywhere on my marketing plan. And there's 50 items that are not on there, right? That we do.
Exactly. And there's so many things that come up. And I think, another just good point to make, there will be an agent that for you clients out there that you're talking to, that you might call them for that. And they'll go, okay, great. Well, go get a quote for it. And when are they going to be there and when are they going to do it? It's not even about an agent. It's about the certain type of person that wants to be helpful, that actually cares about your well-being, that will ultimately go the extra mile and do it. I too have mulched. Confession. I'm a mulcher, right? Maybe I'll just be funny sometimes and show up to my clients and go, hey, look, this last one here says mulching. And it's
part of the service
if you need it. But to be serious about that, there's an incredible amount of things that go on when you're working with your client through their deals. And I look at it like this. What is the client going to remember? Well, I'll tell you, the client that I remember recently, this was last year, that I laid out some mulch. He was an older gentleman. And by the way, this whole episode is not about mulching, but we're here. But
episode 4, mulching 101.
Yeah, but that dude is never going to forget, and he will always remember it. He still brings it up. So also there's a strategy when you're working with your clients that doing something, like you said, is therapeutic. You don't mind doing, we're hardworking guys. right? We started working when we were 15 years old in our own lives. That we don't. That's not even a thought. It's like, yeah, sure, I can help you with that. There's also a fine line for the realtors that are out there watching this, where you also got to be reasonable, and your client, you have to be a good fit for each other. You have to like each other. You have to want to do that for them. But again, that's a good way to create a memorable experience for your client too, just with that specific example.
Yeah. So not only is it helping the client, right? It's helping them save money is the real thing. Because my clients don't even live in the state, right? So it's helping them save money at the end of the day. And do I do it just to look good? I mean, no. I do it, like you said, because I'm just a good human, and I enjoy liking to help in any way I can, right? It's the cherry on top that it shows that I go above and beyond, right? And they would never use anyone else simply because we go the extra mile. And most agents don't go the extra mile, right? I mean, it's just part of our business. That's how we get repeat customers and referrals, is because we don't bitch and moan when my clients are saying, well, hey, the trash needs to come out on a Wednesday and I'm on the East Coast. Okay, I'm gonna go do it for you. You know what I mean? It's just like, with no questions asked, you tell me how to jump and how high. Obviously there's boundaries, right? I do have when I have multiple listings. Yeah, there's going to be a time where I'm going to say, hey, we're going to have to pay him $200 to mulch it for you. But whenever there's a chance for me to go above and beyond and make a difference and try and save some money, I'm going to do it. And I know you are too.
And I'll back you up there, right? You mentioned we work more hours. 80-hour weeks aren't something that we're that's not uncommon for us, right? The other thing is that when you have multiple clients at one time, buyers and sellers, that's what we try to do, obviously, right? There's not like a checklist for everyone, right? Like you mentioned there. And one of the things that I just did, what was it, Sunday? Clients just closed in their house. They are traveling in their RV as they're kind of, newly not owning a home, and they're going to be getting to a destination, but they're just having a good time on the road, right? And, they had the seller or the buyer had moved in, and they let their agent know that there was some mail that got left over, and they had cleaned this house out. I don't know how they missed this, but they had a family photo album there, right? So they called me, and so after my open house on Sunday, I drove to that house. I picked up the photo album. I met the buyer that was there, that owns the home. Very nice. While I was there, I chatted with a neighbor, and they said, oh yeah, no, congratulations. It was great. Clients let me know you did a great job. And so there's a little bit of going the extra mile that also puts you in a position to have connections and make connections along the way. Now, when I pick that stuff up, a lot of times what we'll do, and you've had this before, even though someone who's moved has set their mail to be forwarded, that may happen again in 6 months because the post office makes you do it again and again. Well, it was interesting on this particular one, when I pick up mail, sometimes I'll go and I'll mail it to my client's destination, their new place, right? Or bring it to them if they stayed local. But in the end on that one, they're traveling around in an RV. They're in Arizona somewhere right now, right? But they have a friend whose house was, a couple miles away. So I dropped it there. And this was during the Super Bowl, right? And I show up, and I'd never met these folks before. I knocked on their door. I said, they asked me to drop this by here. Oh, that's great. Come on in, have a beer. We're doing it. I didn't have a beer. I had to get going. I wanted to go do my own thing. But it was nice to sit and chat with them. Now I'm going to get them a nice little gift card, have some coffees on me. It's nice meeting you. New connection. 100%. Right? So when your brain's geared that way to be in a helpful position, our clients, a lot of times you want to show up and tell them, here's all the things that can happen, right? Here's all the things that, we talk about on this podcast that could go wrong. But there are things that come up where you want them to know it's not just about everything you think you know about real estate, client. There are going to be little instances where it's going to be like, I've got you. I can pop by and do that, right? What concerns do you have? Let me help you with that, because that's a whole different topic that we can tackle on the other day. Unglamorous. Let me keep going with this, right? You had mentioned you were on the phone. Yeah. A lot of times, our clients have small children. Unglamorous. Let's talk about this. Well, there's a whole disclosure package. It's about that thick, right? There's if you get inspections on the property. So let's switch to the buyer side, right? First-time home buyer, right? Or maybe they haven't bought a home in a few years. And if you're a good agent, you're going to go through all of those documents with them. Now, maybe that's a Zoom. You're going to go through and explain all the documents to them. What does this even mean? Because our clients have no idea. Well, that whole thing, once they have their inspections, you're explaining the disclosure package to them. That's an hour and a half sometimes with clients where you're doing a Zoom maybe at 10 o'clock at night. And when do people have time if they have small children? Once the kids go to bed. So we are not off the clock. You have to be like yourself, Josh, and myself. You have to want to be able to say, hey, you know what? This is part of the job. This is a step that's important to them. Not just, hey, I'm sending all these documents over to you. Go ahead and DocuSign them. Yeah, you're fine. You have to explain those. That adds value. Don't let your customer do your job. First of all, it's a huge liability. Second of all, it's our responsibility to do that. So again, unglamorous, right? It's not like, hey, you're not going to do a social media. Check me out. I'm going to just tape this hour-long session of me reviewing documents that it's only specific to this particular transaction. That's not good content. Gosh, you might have another story. Let's keep riffing here.
Yeah. I mean, I had a listing not too long ago where, the clients were tapped out on cash. They needed to declutter the space. They needed some new furniture. It needed to be revamped in order to show it in its best light, right? It needed some staging. I got them a quote for like $2,500. It wasn't something they were interested in doing. I didn't necessarily want to pay a stager out of pocket on that listing. So what did I do? I went out and I did some decorative shopping for them, right? Plants, decorative pillows, new bedding. I had to buy a temporary queen frame and put an air mattress on it, and it just totally revamped the space. And at the end of it, I actually ended up returning a lot of it, which was nice, right? So it wasn't a monetary thing on me. It was more the time to like go out and shop, come back, put it all together. I became a stager, right? Sure. At that point, we're jack of all trades, right? I was a mulcher this morning. I was a stager 2 months ago. I won't do any plumbing or electrical stuff like that. We'll leave that to a licensed, technician. But people don't see those things, right? Like, oh my God, the house looks great. Yeah, I did that. You know what I mean? And it's just going above and beyond. And that listing probably wouldn't have sold for as much as it did if I didn't do that. So it's the little things that we do that make the biggest difference and make our clients love us just that much more, right?
And that's great. I'll back you up on that, because staging for me, if the situation is this, right? If somebody's living in their house, we try to combine staging. We try to do some certain things with it, right? But if it's a vacant home, stage the property. And I know you do this too. You include the staging into your compensation agreement, right? And when we do that, just for everybody out there, I mean, you start talking when you're adding square footage to a house, it's thousands of dollars to stage a property.
Yeah.
And you can decide how to work with your client on that, whether it's part of your listing package, you always pay for staging. Here's the compensation rate when we do that. But I too have done that. A couple other unglamorous stories, right? Sometimes at the end of a transaction, you'll get clients that'll say something interesting. And one that comes to mind is it's not in their purchase agreement. You're representing the seller. And the buyer says, well, they're going to professionally clean that place, right?
Yeah, they're not obligated to do that.
Not obligated to do that, right?
Nice courtesy,
But when the other buyer starts to be very huffy puffy, and you might have a buyer's agent on the other side that says, I don't know what to do. I'm newer. Gosh, they're not going to close unless they do that. I have somebody for that. Yeah. I have somebody at a moment's notice that can come in. And hey, have you ever cleaned a house before? Maybe not recently, but I certainly have. I've grabbed a few friends and said, hey, you're going to help me with this. I'll take you out to lunch the next day. We've done that. We've done those things, right? Not typically what I do now, because I might not do a great job, but I have cleaners ready to go. A moment's notice. Sometimes that's a closing gift. Sometimes that's, so having those partners. Another very recent one. Clients were moving out of their house, my listing, they're moving out of their house. They had years and years and years of living in it. They had to load up a trailer, and it took a better part of 3 weeks to get out. They get to the last day. We're getting close to closing. I'm checking in with them, making sure, hey, how you doing? How's it going? And popping by and seeing their progress on this, right? How they're getting out of the house. And I get there and I go, okay, have you guys thought about this last pieces of furniture if the buyers don't want to take it? And the buyers were actually cool. They were saying, well, we could use some of that stuff, right? They were happy, but not all of it. So on 2 different listings in the past year, I have a contractor that is a close friend and a partner of mine. And I always have in my back pocket for those situations for him to have his one of his associates with a dump trailer, and anything that needs to go on the last day and you're not violating, they're supposed to be out, supposed to be a clean property. I've had him there on 2 different listings this past year, showing up with the dump trailer and getting the rest of that stuff out of there before the buyer shows up and says, you guys aren't completely out.
We're not going to let a house not being clean kill a deal. We're not going to let, trash in a house kill a deal. We're going to take care of that. Not only with prepping, right? But it's in a situation where it's last minute. Our buyers doing their final walkthrough and they're like, well, the house isn't clean. No problem. We're going to take care of it. It's not something we like bitch at and moan and go back to our sellers and make them pay for it. It's just the little things get taken care of real quick. And like to your point, I have a contractor on standby. He's almost on retainer because, there's always things that are happening. And, it's not saying that we're going to just pay for everything. We're just going to pay your problems away. But when they're little things, it's not going to be talked about. It's just going to be handled.
There's a negotiation there, right? And as long as you've got a good relationship with your client, the negotiation is easy about talking things out, explaining the concerns that each of you have between you and your client, and then coming to a solution that helps the deal get done and makes a happy place a landing, right? A happy landing place. I think most people don't realize that comes up in the end, right? And what's nice is when you do that, like let's just use the dump trailer story real quick, okay? There's an element where the seller looks at you at that point and they go, you just saved us like a bunch of money and hassle and stress from us loading this up in our pickup truck that we had to borrow from our buddy Steve and take it down to the dump and do 5 dump runs. And Steve doesn't even know where the dump is, and neither do we, right? And it's one of those things where you have it in your back pocket, you don't lead with it, but you're like, oh my gosh, look, you guys are at the end of this right now, and there's no way you're going to be ready by tomorrow. I got you. That's a lot of that stress or emotionalism that people don't see and don't hear about. And again, you're not going to show up with your listing agreement going, by the way, at the last minute, last day, when you're going to have we have a dump trailer. You're not going to do that, right? So yeah, that's interesting to have. But yeah, man, some really good stuff there.
It's just what separates the boys from the men, right? I mean, you got to go the extra mile for your clients. I'm not saying you have to pay for everything and, go out of pocket and, spend 3/4 of your commission on your clients. You can't do that. But there are moments where you need to step up, and I step up every single day, right? For all my clients.
Great messaging. Okay, I think it's time.
Is it rapid fire time?
For our little friend.
Ooh.
Yeah. So let's see what our rapid fire question is. What's your biggest pet peeve in your day-to-day?
Oh, this one's so easy for me.
Oh, go ahead, Josh. We both have something here. I know.
This one's easy for me. So there's nothing more that I hate when an agent, a client, or just any time, right? Even if I'm going to like a dinner, if someone's late. But in our business, time is money, right? So if you're 30 minutes late to my showing, I could have been prospecting for 30 minutes. I could have been delegating my team to do some stuff, right? There's nothing that bugs me more is when I set an appointment with someone in any regard and someone just shows up 30 minutes late. Listen, it's one thing if there's an accident or there's traffic on the freeway and you give me some notice, right? But I have a specific story that just pissed me the hell off. I had a listing. It was a $2.5 million listing, and I was doing all private showings. And I had this pretty big agent who's really well known in the area come and schedule a showing, right?
Yep.
So I think the showing was for noon. Okay. I get a text at like 11:45, and granted, I'm there at 11:30 getting the house ready. I have my blower. I'm making the house look nice, right? I don't just show up at noon, open the door, and then turn on the lights while I'm showing it. The house is ready to go for my showing, right? Yep. So that's another above and beyond thing, right? We don't just open the door. It's the house is prepped, right? Showing at 12, I'm there at 11:20, 11:30, getting it ready, right? So that the agent texts me at 11:45 saying, hey, just wanted to let you know that my clients are going to be 20 minutes late. I was like, that's totally fine. It is what it is, right? If his clients are late, you're at least letting me know, right? Okay, cool. I'm already there at 11:30. I'm turning the lights on. I've already turned the lights on. Clock rolls like 11:55, and I see a car roll up, right? Who shows up? The clients are pulling in the driveway at like 11:55. Okay. The agent shows up at 12:15. So this big agent made his clients look bad to make him like, Do you get what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
said that his clients were going to be 20 minutes late when he was going to be 20 minutes late.
Right.
It made no sense at all. And he showed up, and I didn't say anything, but I was just like, really? Like, do you not think I was going to see what you just tried to do? Like, you just blamed
Right.
your clients on you being late. Why couldn't you just say you're running late? So it's just
Right.
lie. I hate lying. People being late. There's just, I can't stand for it.
Yeah.
That's my biggest pet peeve.
Well, it's great you say that, because like it's almost like that agent sounds like maybe that they were hoping that their clients were going to be a little late, right? And they're
Yeah,
like,
because he was rocking up late.
Yeah, I think what I'll talk about is, for me, biggest pet peeve is, the lack of curiosity, from, I'll say, about real estate, right? Because I'm not a know-it-all in this industry, but I do know a lot. You know a lot. We are doing this every single day. So the knowledge about the business in particular, the prospectus of what's coming up in the future, how each deal works, the experience we've been through and we've seen things happen before. And then you always get people so even at open houses, right? Even if it's not a client that has agreed to work with me and we're committed to each other on paper, I'm still willing to give people advice and help them through things. If I meet someone in a restaurant, hey, you're a real estate agent. Hey, I got a quick question for you. I'm going through this now, or I'm thinking about this. Absolutely, all the time. I'm happy to give you advice, right? I'm happy to do that. And again, it's not like I'm walking around and giving advice to everyone I meet. But when you walk into an open house and you say all the foreclosures are going to happen, I'm waiting for the bottom to fall out of the real estate. Like, I'm immediately turned off. Instead of you walking in going, what is your perspective on this? You do this every day.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a lot about what this podcast is too, Josh, right? Really just, I'll give a different example, right? I don't walk into anybody else's place of business and go, I know your job. I looked at it on Google this morning. You're good. Yeah, no, you can just stop talking to me. I'm not even curious. I don't care. Oh, my uncle told me this about your industry, so I don't need to talk to you.
It's really the fact that people are closed-minded. You don't like when people are not open to hearing someone else's perspective, or coming in with, hey, like, what do you think about this, versus just giving your opinion on something you don't even do every day.
Exactly. And I think we all do this in our daily lives to some extent, but I really do my best to try to, because I'm passionate about what I do for a living, right? But like, I'll give you a different example. Like, I'm also a musician, right? But I don't know everything about music, so I'm still such an extreme student of it. I would never show up and go, I play piano, and then show up to a concert and pull the keyboardist aside and go, hey man, you know what you should have done with that, right? Like, just weird. So it's like, message to everybody out there, stay curious. Attach to people. You don't have to get advice from everybody, but if someone's taking the time to answer your questions and address your concerns and talk to you about certain things at open houses, don't be weird, okay?
100%.
And then the other thing is, I will say this too, curiosity also comes from within our industry, because we meet a lot of agents that if you were just a reasonable person sometimes, there could be an agent on the other side of your transaction that knows more than you and is willing to kind of help you through it. But if you're one of these agents that's following around an agent in your office and you see that person kind of being stone-faced, or they're just like kind of a great negotiator, maybe they're a little mean or whatever, if that's not your flavor and you don't know what you're talking about, don't adopt that philosophy and be curious to get better at what you do
100%.
On a daily basis. So curiosity goes to kind of a wide parameter of maybe what's a good pet peeve of mine, because I'm always willing to help, right?
We both run teams, right? We both run teams.
Yep.
And I want my agents to be coachable. I want them to be open-minded and curious, and I want them to be a sponge, right? Like, just the other day, I was working with an agent on my team. We were going over the same stuff in the RPA, and rather than me just correcting it and saying, hey, you need to do this, you need to check this box, you need to add this in there, right, every single time, I want you to retain what we're doing so that in the future you can do this on your own. Right? Yep. Like, it's very important to be curious and be a sponge and be coachable. You've been in the business 25 years. I've been in the business 12 years. I learn something new every day from different people, right? Different people at different times in their careers. I've learned something from someone who just got their license a year ago. Okay. Everyone has different perspectives. And if you're not open-minded, you're going to get lost, because, and there are people like that. There's tons of people like that. It's an ego thing is what it really is. It's an entitlement and an ego thing, and that's another pet peeve of mine is ego, man.
Yeah,
Egos. There are
that's
so many egos from clients, from agents, from friends and family. And, that's one thing. So I'll throw that other thing in there. Do your
no,
life without ego, because people see right through that shit.
yeah, they do.
And it's a turnoff, right? I mean, it's like, if I know some very wealthy people, and you would never even know that they were that wealthy, because they don't have a big ego, and they're not loud, and they don't need to show it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, sure, it's nice to be able to, buy a Rolex, right? You could treat yourself if you've had a really good year, right? But
Right.
I'm talking about the kind of the people, like even like agents that have been in this business for a long time, that are just like you said, they have that face where they're just like, nope, it's my way or the highway. And it's like they're
Right.
not open to anything. It's like no one likes you, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care that you do $5 million in GCI every single year. You are not liked. So if you don't, and I'm not saying this like, I'm not saying that I do this because I want to be liked. It's just kind of who I am. But do things without ego, people. Like, it's like, just be a
Yeah.
nice, genuine person. It's like,
Well, and I'll tell you, I mean, if you're a student of life, you'll know that there'll be certain things thrown at you, like being a parent or doing things like that are beyond what you have all the answers to as well. And so it's
for
kind of
sure.
ignorant to not always be learning. And I will tell you, like, even after doing this for 25 years, and I know you too, I went to a seminar last week, and I spent the whole day at it, just learning new things that are coming out in the industry, some AI stuff. We'll probably get into some of those topics here on our podcast as
Sure.
well. But yeah, if you're not consistently learning, and you don't have the curiosity, and you have too much ego that you know it all, you're eventually going to hit a wall, and it's going to become difficult for you. So I like what you said there.
100%.
Great job. Always good to be with you, Josh. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
You too, brother. That was fun.
Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Beards. If you enjoyed today's episode, do us a favor, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who'd enjoy what you've heard here today.
You can also connect with us on social media, or send us one of your own real estate confessions. Who knows? You might just hear it on the next episode.
We'll catch you next time, where we keep it real, keep it honest, and always behind the beards.